your college, your community.
Hello and happy second day of spring. I'm Sierra Plesey.
And I'm Nathan Dickerson. Thank you so much for taking time to watch this. If you have any news you would like us to cover, email us at mcstampede@milligan.edu.
In this week's show, we are going to highlight some new courses being offered for the fall semester.
There are several new courses, so we're going to spread them out throughout the show. Be sure to stay tuned.
Let's look into one of the new courses. Amber has more to share.
We're offering 2 new courses in the music area in the fall, both of which I'm teaching, so it's exciting. The first is a music colloquium. This will be for first-year music majors, as well as those students who might be interested in a music minor, perhaps. And it'll just be an exploration of some different aspects of music as an academic discipline, so thinking about how to practice and how to write music research papers, that sort of thing. Also looking at different options for music careers, so not just performing, but teaching, working in churches, working in arts organizations, things like that. And also thinking about music within the framework of Christian faith. So why would a Christian make music? How would a Christian make music? How would that be different from another person? So really going to be an interesting class, low workload, meet 1 time a week, and have some field trips and that sort of thing. So that'll be fun. Second course we're offering is called Vocal Diction. Sounds a little odd, but this is a class primarily for those studying voice, so those in voice lessons either as music majors or music minors. And we talk about how to perform songs in different languages. So as part of voice study, we sing songs in not only English, but Italian, German, that sort of thing. And so what are the basics of forming the words and correct pronunciation in those different languages?
This coming fall, we decided to have a new course called the Communications Colloquium class. It's a 1-hour course, and this is designed for students to take in their freshman year. It's mainly to have students come in and get a broad perspective of how the whole field works, the different jobs that are available, the different personalities. But you know, a lot of students come in and they maybe have an interest in communications, but they don't really know all the different things that they could use with that degree. So we're just trying to bring in guest lecturers, and we have materials planned, readings for them to try to get this information across so they can make an educated decision on what they want to do with their major in communications.
So feature writing is a new course to fill a gap in the journalism sequence. After a student takes the introductory reporting course, then I'll encourage them to take feature writing. And if they're a journalism student, they'll have to take feature writing. It's a 3-hour course in learning how to write things like opinion pieces, editorials, feature stories that you might see in a newspaper or a magazine especially. So if anyone's interested in magazine writing, or if they're interested in writing op-ed pieces for their local paper or websites, this would be a good course for them to take. We'd love them to have the introductory reporting course first, but if they haven't had that, they might still want to come talk to me, and we could probably get them in there. It's going to be offered Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9:30, and you get to do a lot of writing and of a different kind that maybe people are used to.
It is called Server-Side Programming. It is a course that will look at how to actually program the server side of web development when you're designing web pages. We have 2 courses right now, 318 and 318M, that are designing web pages, and they're client-side programming classes. When you're working with web development, you've got 2 sides of the programming perspective. You've got what the user sees and does, and you've got what the server is doing on the other side. This semester we've been looking at client-side programming or front-end programming. And in the fall we're going to be looking at server-side programming or back-end programming of how the computer, the server, and the client actually talk to each other and interact with each other.
Hey, did you hear about President Greer being appointed to Tennessee Independent Colleges and Universities Association?
Yeah, President Greer was installed as a member at large at their annual meeting this past month in Nashville.
The TICUA engages Tennessee's private colleges and universities to work collaboratively in areas of public policy, cost containment, and professional development to better serve the state and its citizens.
Please be sure to congratulate President Greer on this awesome opportunity.
Nathan, have you heard about the upcoming play?
I have. Let's check out what A Midsummer Night's Dream is all about.
Comedy and humorously fun times are ahead for Milligan College, as the drama department's adaptation of Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream is preparing to open. Recently, I sat down with Professor and Director Dick Major to talk about Milligan's new show.
So, Professor, have you enjoyed the production so far?
Yeah, I've enjoyed a lot the rehearsal process and getting ready to unveil this for our public. This makes, let's see, the third time I've directed A Midsummer Night's Dream at Milligan. There had been a lot of space between. It was the second show I directed when I first joined faculty in 1986. And then I did it about 10 years ago, and we did that down in Jonesboro, Tennessee, with Jonesboro Rep, and then this production. So it's one of those plays that works very well with a college-aged cast.
And how is this college-age cast different than the previous ones that you worked with in Milligan Shakespeare?
Well, you know, it's interesting. With each group that I've done this with over the years, there has been, I don't know, a real maturity in the group, and they bring a lot to the table in terms of their talent and their ability. And even though we have several newcomers in this production, they still have somehow managed to rise to the level that they need to be, you know, in the rehearsal process. And I don't know, it's a very, very fine group of young people, very smart group of people, and very talented.
And on that note, can you tell us a little bit about some of the obstacles that you think this particular cast is going to have to overcome? Yeah,
let's see. Well, part of it has to do, and we have plenty of time to work this out, but as you have seen tonight in rehearsal, we have added some of these trees and stumps and that kind of thing. And so the actors, when we were blocking all of this, of course, they didn't have all of those literal obstacles in their way. And so now we're at the point in the rehearsal process where we have to determine how to best use those scenic pieces. And typically, it's that kind of technical thing that happens in the week that we're in right now that consumes a lot of time. Yeah.
Are you altering the play any?
I've cut a lot. I guess I'm not one of those Shakespearean purists that thinks absolutely every word as written has to be in the script that is performed. I've tried to make it pretty lean. We have cut a lot of the script, and I don't think we've lost anything really. Shakespeare, like a lot of other writers, would get into the poetry and saying the same thing 3 or 4 times, you know, in a speech, and you don't really need that. You just get to the heart of what needs to be said and cut the rest.
What are some major examples of that?
Oh, there are speeches in, it happens most frequently in large kind of soliloquy sections, and the scene that or a couple of these scenes that we're just working on with Oberon and Puck, we have made substantial cuts in what they have said, and it's not like I cut a whole scene or something, but I do try to pare it down to get right to the heart of what needs to be said and then move on.
How is this play unique in the productions you've done so far?
Out of all the productions I've done, or yeah, it's, I don't know. Each time out, when I'm directing a play, I feel like, you know, there's always new things to learn. And even though I've directed this play a couple of times, and then I've directed scenes in this play several times, and I've performed in the play a couple of times, every time out, there's something new about the chemistry of people that make that particular production unique in and of itself. I mean, one of the fun things that we're doing is, in this production, is we've cast Dr. Lee Blackburn is going to play a little cameo role. And that's always kind of a nice dynamic that happens when we have a faculty member perform in a show. And I think he's having a good time, and the students are having a good time with him as well. So that's kind of a unique feature, I think, to this particular production.
A Midsummer Night's Dream opens on March 27th at 7:30 p.m. in the Gregory Center. Tickets and later showtimes are available at the Milligan Bookstore. And as always, this has been Andrew Hollinsworth reporting for the MC Stampede.
Seems to be an amazing theater performance and something you do not want to miss out on. Get your tickets now in the bookstore.
Did you hear that the concert choir and orchestra will be combining with several local church choirs and soloists to present a two-concert performance of Handel's Messiah, a celebration of God's amazing grace?
Yeah, on April 12th at 7 p.m. and April 13th at 3 p.m. in Seeger Chapel, this performance covers the story of Jesus' Passion. Tickets are on sale now at the bookstore. Don't miss out.
With all the talent that is being shown on campus, Krista Knutson has her art show coming up this weekend. Let's take a look on what we are about to see.
Krista Knudson's senior art show will soon open in the Derthick Art Gallery. Here she is to tell us about her show and what it took to get to this point.
The show is called Numinous, which means the powerful personal feeling of being overwhelmed and inspired, and also means filled with a sense of the presence of divinity.
Students spend long hours preparing for this show, and Krista is no exception. She has been preparing for this for a long time.
For a couple years, I guess, because I've used things that I've done, you know, all through my different art classes and stuff. So mostly in the past year, really, but I've been using things that I've been working on for a while. This is one of my favorites. It's called Women of Art, and I liked it because I got to include different women throughout art history, which is something I'm really excited about. And I included myself because being part of these women and observing their different kinds of beauty and the different kinds of things that they've been a part of over time is, I feel like, part of the artistic process. And so I wanted to include myself, not to say I'm, you know, up there with these ladies because they're super famous, and but I think it's really cool to be able to be part of this kind of look at beauty and to see what that has looked like for women over time.
So if you like what you see, come to Krista's show opening March 23rd through 28th. This has been Sierra Plesy reporting for the Stampede. Come on out to Lower Derthick and check it out. After this short commercial break, we will be back with more Milligan news. Stay tuned.
What buff will you be? With over 30 majors and professional degrees in 24 intercollegiate sports, you can be anything from a nursing buff to a basketball buff. With 1,200 students from over 15 nations, Milligan has a close, faith-based community where the classes are generally 10 to 15 students in size, allowing the faculty to take a personal interest in your learning and in your life. Will you join the Buff Nation?
Here's something if you're in education and interested in more credits. Milligan College is the recipient of a grant that will provide free Common Core training and 3 hours of free graduate school credit for 30 local teachers.
Participants will attend a pre-assessment meeting this spring and a 5-day workshop from June 9th to 13th. A post-assessment and on-site visit will take place in fall 2014.
For more information, contact Karen Hill at 423-461-8927.
Have you ever heard of the Phoenix?
What is the Phoenix? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Or is it an opportunity for students to publish their literary work? I wonder if this next story can clue us up.
It's open to all students. There isn't a specific class. It's from any class. We would love comp research papers, personal poetry, fiction, song lyrics, plays, screenplays, really anything that you want to write about, we want. For this year's Phoenix, today was the deadline, but next year we will be advertising in the fall and all throughout the fall semester, and at the beginning of the spring semester you can submit at phoenix.milligan or phoenix@milligan.edu.
A long time ago it was actually called the Helicon, and students had to put on a heliconcert to raise money for it, and then it disappeared for several years, and it was, I think, in the late 80s, 90s that it came back as the Phoenix. It was called the Phoenix because it rose from the ashes of the Helicon, which is all mythological and tied together. But then it was assigned a budget line, and so we have an actual budget every year. We don't have to have a concert and bake sale to raise money for it. And it used to be only a creative literary magazine. Largely it only took poetry and fiction. Even then it didn't take very long fiction.
We will distribute this year's Phoenix probably in the last week of classes. So we'll distribute this new one in May or late April. If you want a Phoenix that was published in a previous year, you can visit Dr. Hoover's office in the FOB, and I believe she has previous copies.
We will keep you informed with when there will be a release of the Phoenix.
Do you enjoy singing? Do you have an inner feeling that just brings joy to your heart when you sing in front of people?
Yeah, well, on Tuesday, April 8th from 4 to 6 p.m. in Lower Seeger, Heritage will be having their auditions.
Selection for Heritage includes $1,500 annual scholarship as well as a half-hour credit per semester.
If you are interested and have any questions, please contact either Noah DeLong or Kit Dodson.
You always made sure I brushed my teeth.
You told me that smart was cool.
You always told me to dream big.
To all of those parents who took the time to make raising their children their most important job, we'd like to say,
thank you.
Thank you.
From the bottom of my heart, thanks, Mom and Dad.
This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Let's go to Amber Plummer on some other news on the new courses coming in the fall.
Well, I've got 2 new courses that we're planning to teach in the fall. One will be really an old class, a class that's in the catalog that we teach regularly. We've given it a new name, new number. It used to be that there was one course in the catalog called Biblical Wisdom and Devotional Literature, which covers a whole bunch of material that really doesn't belong together. So we split it into 2 classes, one which I'm teaching this semester that deals with the Psalms. The course in the fall will be called something like, I can't remember the title of my own courses, as you might guess. It is called Good Questions and the Good Life, Biblical Wisdom Literature. So it's going to be a course in the wisdom books, particularly of Job, Proverbs, and Ecclesiastes. So we're going to talk about the wisdom literature, kinds of questions that were raised in ancient Israel and in the ancient Near East about the meaning of life and what is a good and bad way to live. And then we're going to deal with the difficult kinds of questions raised in Ecclesiastes and Job about justice and the fairness of God and why do people suffer and is there any meaning in life. The second course, which is really designed for Bible majors and minors who want to be better prepared to do in-depth study of the Bible, is called Basic Hebrew for Bible Study. We really don't have time in our curriculum for students to take a whole course in Hebrew, and so they don't ever have the chance to learn they don't get the chance to learn Hebrew as a full language. And this is not the Hebrew language course. It's not going to fulfill any kind of requirements for the language. It's designed to give people a basic introduction to the Hebrew alphabet, to Hebrew vocabulary, to the basic way the language works, so that they can make better use of reference tools, language tools, commentaries, so that their Bible study, their study of the biblical text can be deeper and more meaningful.
So this course that I'm teaching this next semester is the Gospel of John. We actually have a similar course in our catalog that's Johannine literature, which involves both the Gospel of John and the Epistles of John. But we haven't taught it for a number of years, and this is actually one of my little specialties is the Gospel of John. I'm teaching this course at Emmanuel Christian Seminary as an exegesis course for them, but my experience has been this is easily workable for Milligan students. In fact, Milligan students oftentimes do as well or better than the Emmanuel students. So this will be a course that's a $395 course, but just on the Gospel of John for both sets of students. So we're going to study how John works as a gospel, what happens in it, what the teachings are, what the critical issues are, and I think you'll have fun with it.
The intermediate macroeconomics course is part of the new economics major, so it is a course that's required by most programs that have majors in economics. Basically what we do, the concepts we learn in the principles of macroeconomics, which is a course Milligan has had for years and years, are concepts and theories, and we discuss them broadly. The intermediate macroeconomic course is where we take those same theories, so since it's macroeconomics, we're talking about the economy overall, so unemployment, inflation, gross domestic product, and we add more mathematical models to it. So it's really just making our models more mathematical, and we start to incorporate some elements of calculus and statistics into it, and really it's meant to just develop the students' ability to analyze the economy in preparing them to pursue graduate school if they want to.
Have you heard about the new marketing club? Brittany has more to share on that.
Well, the PR and Marketing Club is something that I've had in mind for several years, and Chandria Shell, our PR director, we've talked about doing something like this, and this year, with some help from students like Brittany Schaefer and others, we were able to just kick it off this spring, and hopefully by next year really kind of get it rolling. But the whole point of it is to complement what the students are learning in the classroom in both their business and their communication and marketing classes, and really provide some additional thoughts and exposure to professionals that are working in these realms, addressing different topics, visiting different businesses and locations that just help them get exposure to and experience with some of the different aspects of these areas in marketing, PR, and the business side of things.
I'm really excited about the PR and Marketing Club because as a PR major, yeah, I go to class and I'll have an internship, but it's a way to kind of communicate with other PR and marketing majors and get a little bit more of that marketing that I'm not getting in the classroom, and getting some great insight from a lot of the marketing and PR leaders on our campus. Just getting a lot of information and the who's and what's it's going on in the business right now that's real life applicable stuff that I'm not getting just from a textbook.
Lots of new things going on at Milligan this upcoming fall.
To finish out the show, we want to congratulate Sherry Laura, Krista Knudsen, and Mickey Brown on receiving an Addie Award this year.
Addie Awards honor the best and most creative advertising work from students and professionals in the industry. The awards are given in 3 levels: local, district, and national. Winners in each level are qualified to compete in higher levels.
Senior Krista Knudsen of Manila, Philippines earned a gold Addie for her stop-motion video called Arm Candy, Take Me Dancing. Knudsen is majoring in fine arts with an emphasis in art and minors in digital media and English. Her winning video will be entered into the district competition and will be judged against entries from Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Mississippi.
In addition, sophomore Sherry Laura of Matamoros, Mexico, won a silver Addie for her work on a creative video about her Milligan experience and how the school has shaped her life academically and spiritually. Laura is a communications major with an emphasis in public relations and minors in business administration and Spanish.
Be sure to congratulate them when you see them.
All the preparation, the training, it all comes down to this.
To be a winning team, you have to work like a winning team.
We have a job to do out here today.
Some people think it's about muscle, but it's really about heart. A lot of heart.
My team depends on me.
And my team is 50,000 strong.
Looks like a lot of work's going into this.
what it feels like to be part of a team.
A winning team.
The Action Team.
Get in on the action at actionteam.org. Are you in?
Okay, genre studies is basically going to be studying where genres come from, genres meaning horror, science fiction, fantasy, westerns, things like that, where they come from, how they've developed over time, and maybe where they're going in the future, how different cultures do different things with genres, all those kinds of questions. We're going to be dealing with that. We're going to look at all kinds of different texts, from The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson to the Dark Knight film, James Bond, all kinds of cool things. So I think it's going to be very fun.
It's a brand new offering, and it's only offered to upper division English students, and you have to have permission to get into the course. We'll be reading Moby Dick, and that's it, over the course of the semester, and so it will take on more of a graduate school tone, and we'll be looking at other interpretations, we'll be looking at outside readings and critical readings, but mainly it's just a chance to dive into what is probably considered the first American novel. It's team taught, so it'll be both Americanists, and that's Dr. Blue and myself. We hope to have 5 or 6 students.
Yeah, so the Chaucer class, as the title suggests, it focuses on the work of Geoffrey Chaucer. And the way that I teach the class is that we'll be reading extensively in Chaucer's work, not just the Canterbury Tales, but some of his other major works, particularly Troilus and Cressida, which is sort of a poem that is long and really fascinating. And we'll also be talking about some of his shorter poems and his earlier works. But the thing that I'm really excited about doing in the Chaucer course is not just reading Chaucer, which is fantastic, but also putting Chaucer in the context of his historical period. So we'll be doing readings from other writers of poetry at the time. We'll be looking at Italian authors who were hugely influential on Chaucer, but we'll also be looking at works of, say, histories and chronicles and social commentaries, things like that, to see how Chaucer is in some ways unique, right? I mean, we studied Chaucer because he had a huge impact on the development of English literature, but he's not out of a context, right? He doesn't exist outside of that historical context. So we'll be looking at the people around him and how their works influenced his, and how his in turn sort of influenced the way that English poetry was written after his time.
For the first time, we're offering a course in elementary and early childhood assessment. We've offered an assessment course in the past, but it's been more of a general assessment course that's really geared from K through 12 education. So that's a wide span. So based on some feedback that we've received from a lot of our schools that we partner with, there's really quite a bit of assessment taking place now at the elementary level that's really specialized for younger children. So we decided to break the assessment course really into 2 parts, one geared exclusively toward early childhood and elementary educators, which is the new course that's being offered. And that course will really look at assessments that are specifically geared toward children in elementary settings in regard to reading, math, response to intervention, which is a huge initiative right now in the schools in terms of assessment, and also providing additional supports based on the assessment procedures, as well as giving students some exposure to things like value-added scores, basic concepts of reliability, validity, all of those types of things that they'll really need in order to be successful in the classroom.
Well, this is it for the show. I'm Sierra Plesey.
And I'm Nathan Dickerson. See you next time.